Peace and prosperity be unto all who's listening and watching. It's your girl, Shay Miller, right? And I'm back with another video. And today we're going to talk about the differences between discussions, arguments, debates, and pure conversation. So, discussion is better than arguments because in a discussion, you slowly discover what is right. In a argument, you're looking to find what the person's saying is wrong. In a conversation, you generally just listen to what people are saying, unless you just have a hard time listening. And debates is a open field for different individuals to voice their opinions about certain topics and spill out whether they agree or disagree. I like all of them, but let's talk about discussion. Discussion is having a good understanding and being able to sit down and take the time to break down what a person is saying to you, give an elaborate explanation for why you're saying, or understand, not just what you're saying, but also being able to understand the person's perspective and what they're saying and why they mean what they say. Being able to take what a person's saying as your own, right? So in a discussion, is basically learning to understand the rights in the conversation in which you're discussing with the person beside you or the person in the discussion with you. Also, arguments is just a form of, who's right, who's wrong. No one wants to be wrong. No one necessarily wants to be wrong, but everybody wants to point the finger. It's like the blame game. There's no one's ever right. No one's ever really wrong. But in those moments of arguments, people say very nasty things to each other, oftentimes disagree, and sometimes can wind up in even worse predicaments than they wanted to end up in the first place. So it's truly better to discuss situations or things in life than it is to sit and argue about it. I get it, no one wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to take the time to listen, because in arguments, you're not really listening. You're both speaking over each other, both getting your elaborated opinions in, or what you believe to be right, because neither one of you believe that you're wrong in this argument, and both pointing out the wrongs of each other. Like a reflection of wrongness is what argument is, because the entire time you're both looking for the wrongs of what the person is saying, and you in a fixed mindset of disagreeing because you want so bad to disagree with the person, and there's no changing your mind about it. So we got discussions, the ability to understand and be able to take a person's point of view and just talk and elaborate and dissect the conversation and take it as your own and understand where a person's coming based on their point of view. Then you have arguments, basically a field of wrongness and a blame game that everyone plays but no one wants to really be a part of. Then you also have debates, a field of random individuals coming together on unpopular opinions, like coming together and speak on certain topics, give their opinion on it, and be very open-minded about it. But sometimes it can lead to I agree to disagree. It requires you to really be open-minded in debates. Everybody in the room has the ability to sit and talk about whatever it is that they're thinking about or their ideas, and it gives everybody an open field to just really, be open-minded, because you get to see on both perspectives in a debate, because you're not only thinking from one side, the left side of your mind, you're thinking from the right side too, because you're willing to say, I agree to disagree in debates. You're saying, I agree at this point, but at 1 minute, you may not agree, a little further on down. So the debates are good. Depends on how open-minded you are and how okay you are with adversary, because debates can lead to heated conversations that some people cannot take. Conversation is just intimate conversation between two individuals, and having the ability to go on long periods of talking about certain specific topics. And conversation is a really good thing. Most people don't practice. A lot of people don't have the ability to have conversation, or are not really open to talking. Don't really know how to, because they don't do it enough. And in this life, people don't get enough practice with conversation. How to speak to people, how to approach people, how people's interests, and learning how to talk about what they're interested in, and just really getting to a point where they can sit down and be comfortable with themselves enough to be comfortable with the people around them, so they can really just have a genuine conversation, because conversation is genuine. If you're gonna talk to people, do it on a genuine and sincere manner. And conversation is important. It builds character as well. It challenges you to answer questions, but also think beyond the metric scale. It allows you to go from a fixed mind to an open mind, because in conversations you'll run into many sorts of things that you're not used to with every individual that you meet. Some people will mentally stimulate your brain and challenge your thinking, and some people will have a basic conversation which you would not challenge your thinking. But it just really depends on the person and what their abilities are and what kind of individual they are. As an intellectual, I value conversation, I value education, I value literacy. I value things that most people take for granted today. So these are really important. These are the 4 different ways to communicate, but in each sector they have their flaws as well. But you have to have the ability to do them in order to fully understand what they are. So take the time to really sit down and understand a person's point of view before you start to find the wrong in what people are saying. If anything ever challenges what you're thinking, and in your mind that is right, because there's times in your life where you're thinking like, that person's right. You think in your mind like, that's right. And you agree in your mind, but you're so stubborn with your physical self that it comes to a point where you're like, no, it's not happening. So you have to be mindful of those times where you are challenged, but in your mind you agree with the challenge, you agree with what the person's saying, but it challenges your brain in a sense where you reject it. If you can be challenged in a way that is positive, which requires you to accept the challenge and accept the fact that your way of thinking is wrong in some aspects, and you can change and appropriate and fix what it is that you've been thinking about, and really be open-minded to changing yourself and the way you think and the way you view certain things. So just be open-minded for growth. Be open. There's always room for improvement. So just keep an open mind. Never be closed-minded. It's room for all of us for growth every single day. And I hope you guys having a prosperous day.